Welcome. We are here today to help you attract more cash pay clients using Upfront Labs. We have the beautiful Jess Del Pino here with us from Biocanic. If you missed our first session, on that first session, what we did was help her to select the right lab. Okay, so we went through a couple of different scenarios. If you want to see that session that we did together, let me go ahead and put that link on screen for you guys so you could just have that link open in another tab. I recommend that I recommend that you watch that one separately. Like I recommend that you watch that, like on your own time and that you stick with us live today. All right. So that's the link to go ahead and watch. No, actually, that's the link to Biocanic. So let me go ahead. Perfect. Okay, sorry, Jess got dropped off. She's in Australia, so you'll bear with us, you guys, if we have any technical difficulties. Okay, so first, let me get you the link to the first session. Okay, in this session, if you're watching live, then I recommend that you scan that code and watch that YouTube video later. Okay, because in that session, what Jess and I did was think through, well, what did she want for her business? And therefore, which lab was she going to choose? And we'll do a drum roll and we'll have her share with us exactly which one she's going to choose. But the logic that you need to make the decision of, well, which type of lab should I use or should I not use, just as important, right? To attract more cash pay clients. Okay. So if you missed that first session, I think it's important for you to have access to that one and go back to listen to that conversation. Okay. In today's conversation, what Jess and I are going to do is we're going to show you how we can use some AI prompts to crank out all of the messaging and copy that she would need to create a very effective registration page. And then once that registration page is ready, or even before, honestly, she's going to start by having an offer validation process. Okay. And an offer validation, if you don't know what that is, we'll explain that to you in just a minute. But we'll do offer validation and her registration page and the confirmation page and the welcome email if people say yes to getting an upfront lab from you. Okay. So that's a lot to accomplish. And when we leave that to practitioners, generally they're like, I'm staring at the blank page. I absolutely hate it. So we're going to show you how we can pull a few things out of Jess today, and then we can lean into the proven AI prompts that we use here at Heal at Scale, and she'll be able to crank out all that information absolutely at lightning speed using a paid version of ChatGPT or Poe or whichever one she loves. Gemini, doesn't matter to me. We're AI agnostic. Okay. We just want you to win. So that's what you need to know for us to get started. So I'm going to go ahead and make sure you guys know, again, this is Jess Del Pino from Biocanic. She's on the Biocanic team. That's how you guys probably know her, but she's also an independent practitioner on her own, FDN grad, right?
Yep.
Shout out to all the FDN peeps in the biochem community and beyond. Love you guys. All right. So Jess, when we left off last, you were making a decision to do one of two different labs as your upfront offer. Okay. So just to recap, we were looking at an offer where you were going to, and I can sketch this out for everybody. You were going to consider, because it's your business, right? You were going to consider, should I offer a Dutch test? Okay. And then go ahead and use like an endo axis on the back end for interpretation to save myself a lot of hours and stress and time. And then lean into promoting the back end supplement sales that are coordinated with endo access. Okay. If you guys don't know Dutch, what rock have you been under? If you don't know endo access, I'm just kidding. If you don't know Dutch, if you don't know endo access, and for the people who are from the Heal at Scale community, if you don't know Biocanic, I'll make sure that there are links in the description of this video below so you can access all of these things. But long story short, Dutch test, insanely awesome, forward thinking precision medicine hormone test that she was thinking of using through an additional service called Endo Access, ENDOAXIS. Amazing crew over there too. And what they have done is taken translating that Dutch test and make it even easier for practitioners because they have an AI supermodel, um, like the Tyra Banks of AI, right? They have an AI supermodel that has taken all of the testing and created a model that helps find deficiencies and problems and pathways that aren't functioning perfectly. And it helps practitioners to find those, the statistical relevance in the AI model helps to pull those right to the forefront so you can have a conversation about them with people. It's amazing. If you haven't checked it out, you should definitely look into it. Okay, so she was considering leaning into a Dutch test plus endo access. And quite frankly, leaning into a lot of the endo access has coordinated supplement sales on the back end of that test that she would get a split of. Okay. Now, what we talked about in the last episode is how, well, that would be a good model for her if she wasn't jonesing to have an online, health business where she sees, 20, 40, 80 hours worth of one-on-one clients every week. She could severely lighten that load. She could say, hey, let's just do the test and see what's going on. Then she could charge for an interpretation call. And then based on that interpretation call, which we know is heavily aided by the endo access report. So that's going to save her literally hours of research and interpretation. And then she could have the coordinated back end supplement sales since she doesn't yet have her own private label supplement line. Okay. But she's still going to make a cut of those sales. Now, anybody who needed to work with her privately, maybe something comes to surface, there's an autoimmune problem, there's a gut problem. Of course, she could take them on as a private client and she could keep that business model going. The other model that she was considering is doing an upfront gut test in order to land people that she could work with one-on-one to get raving testimonials about her particular, methodology, let's call it a protocol, for returning to optimal gut health, in which case that would land her more one-on-one clients. Right. And what we talked about in the last episode, we won't go into all of it, but there were benefits to both of these. Okay. If you are just starting out, if you are just starting out and you do not have a big online following, you do not have a big email list, you definitely need to be doing things that will get you social proof. Okay. So that was one of the reasons that she was considering this. What if she got her first 5, 10, 20 clients in through a gut health test? She closed, let's say, half of the people who bought the test. Let's just run. So in a week, she runs it. She gets 20 people who say yes to the lab test. Of those 20 people, she closes, let's call it 17 of them into working with her. And then she has the option from there. Does she want to work with them one-on-one to get social proof? That's what I would do if I was brand new. If I was experienced and I already had tons of social proof to share on email and via social media, that kind of thing, then I would put all those 20 people into a group program and I would give them a way better price to have access to me one-on-one. But I would, and I wouldn't be charging that high-end one-on-one price. Okay. So either way, either test that she chooses is going to help her make the education and resource fee on top of the labs. Okay. So Jess, do we do a recap so they kind of understand how the lab test funnel works? Okay. So if you guys don't understand the basic concept of a lab test funnel, I'm just going to pull this up because I have a great model for you. Okay. So basically, when you're doing, let me switch gears here. Oh, I can't share screen that way. So that's not going to work. I can share my iPad. Yeah. Here, I can share my Okay. So let me just see what this is looking like for you guys. Yeah. Okay, great. So let's go on here. Okay. So basically, what's going to happen is she's going to put out content. Okay. If she's newer, she needs to put out symptoms. All of us, not even new, everybody has to put out symptoms based content. Okay. She's going to put out symptoms based content. And what she's going to do is she's going to connect the dots between the symptoms her people are experiencing and the system of the body that we might need to take a look at. Okay. So she's going to put out symptoms based content. So I'll just make this clear. Okay. Symptoms based content. Okay. And then her job in that content is literally to connect the dots, okay, to the system of the body. Which system of the body do we need to look at? In her two tests that she's considering now, that would be the hormonal system of the body, okay, or it would be the gut, the digestive system of the body. Either way, okay. So that would be her example. So if she was using the gut test, she would be like, hey, do you look 6 months pregnant after every time you eat a meal? Okay, that means there's something disrupted in the digestive system of your body. And lucky for you, so we're going to move on now. Okay, so she's going to do symptoms-based content. So let me I'll highlight you so you can see where we're going. So symptoms-based content, that's her first job. Okay. And then she's going to tell them which system of the body that we need to look at. And that's where we move from symptoms into science. Whoa, that's a big pen. We're going to go smaller than that. Okay. Now we're going to go to science. Okay. She's going to let them know for that system of the body, there is a functional medicine test that I trust above all others to check this out. It's the one that gets my clients the most success. It's the one I want to give you access to. Okay. So I refer to this piece as she's going to go from symptoms now to actually giving them access to science. Okay. Now, here's what's going to happen. If we give them access to science, this is where we actually give them the test. We give them access to purchase the test. Okay, so that's where our first actual sale is going to happen. Okay, how does the sale happen? Because you're going to give them access to purchase the test, the lab test, using a signing physician. Okay, so this is not on your license. For those of you who are panicking, I don't want it to be on your license. The tests ordered on your license should be people who already have a clear agreement with you. So they're already in some sort of agreement with you, whether that's they walked into your clinic and they have an appointment and they sign all the HIPAA compliant paperwork and all your new client paperwork. That is an agreement. So you guys know exactly how you're working together. Conversely, you might be doing health coaching online like Jess, okay? But when they pay her, she has now entered into a very clear agreement. Okay. So, in other words, when they put in their credit card and information and they check the box to her agreement, she already would have a watertight agreement to, hey, this is online health coaching and whatever she wants to put in that agreement, like, hey, this is not a substitute for medical care. You should be consulting your doctor if you're on any medications, all the fancy stuff that she wants to put in that agreement. But either way, there's an agreement. Okay. I want you to offer the sale of these labs through a signing physician instead. Okay. So we're going to take them from the systems-based content. Okay. We'll go ahead and put this over here. Okay. And we will move this one and we'll come back and we'll go from systems-based content where she connects the dots to which system it is. And then she's going to connect the dots to the right test that looks at that system. Okay. That is the first point of sale that we're going to score for Jess. Okay. Now, why this works so flippin' well right now, you guys, this is the number one performing funnel for the practitioners who are in my high-end mastermind. Okay. So the reason that it's working right now is because there's so much financial uncertainty in the marketplace that it's harder than ever to develop the trust you need for people to say yes to you, right? So I'm going to make this bigger, Jess, so they can just see this. We're going to we'll make sure you guys can see this in just a second, but I want them to be able to see this. Oh, you know what? This is backwards. Is it backwards for them?
Yeah.
Okay, let me just mirror it. Hold on one second, you guys. There we go. Now you'll be able to read it. My mom is one of those people who can read backwards. She can read and write backwards. It's insane. So only she saw what was going on. Hi, Mom. Not that my mom probably wants to watch this, but okay. So the reason that this is a great first sale for us to make for her is because trust in the marketplace is the hardest thing for us to build. Okay. So if Jess was going to go, so this is the model, okay, that is making the most money for my practitioner mastermind members right now. Okay. If we tried to do this differently, if we had her go from this symptoms-based content and she went ahead and told them which system of the body, okay, so she's going to say, where is the problem? Where are we having a problem? Where are we having a breakdown? And then we went ahead and tried to sell something really expensive, like let's call it a How much is it to work with you for 3 months to turn something around?
We were talking about that last week. I was saying about 5K.
Okay, so this is going to be a 5K offer. You guys, what is the likelihood? Okay, as beautiful and wonderful and kind and entertaining as Jess is, okay, what is the likelihood of her making? I'm going to make this big for 1 second, okay? What is the likelihood of her making a, let's see, which the gut health test that you're using, how much is it?
That one was, I think we said like 350 with everything.
Okay, 350 with everything. You're right. I think so. It was 350. So the gut test that she wants to use is, I think it was like 250 or something, and then your $100 fee, right? Is that what we came up with? Okay.
Let me double check the numbers, but let's go with that.
Okay, we'll go for with that for our example. Okay, for some of you who
hmm
maybe you love the GI map and you're like, Joy, it's going to cost me more than that. Okay, it's 365 my cost, $100 markup, or it's 400 my cost and $500 markup. Still, it really doesn't matter, you guys. What do you think her chances are of selling to someone who's newer to her content? What do you think the chances of her getting someone to trust her enough to spend $350 versus finding her online and trusting her enough to, let me add a zero here. Okay. Oops, right here. Okay. So what are the chances of her closing the 350 versus asking them to go straight to 500K in a somewhat volatile and uncertain market? I didn't look at the stock market today, but last I checked, it was pretty much a hot disaster, right?
Yeah.
So, with all of that uncertainty in the marketplace financially, with the insane amount of trust we have to build before, I'm going to take this one off screen. Okay. Let me just get this out of the way. That should make us bigger. I'm going to try to make this bigger. That works. You're kind of covering it. We'll do it this way. Okay. Jess, which one do you think is going to be easier for you, a person who's trying to grow an audience online, doesn't already have a list of, thousands of people who are jonesing to jump into working with you? Like, which one of these sales do you think is going to take less work and less effort for you to make?
Um, After doing some thought about it, I think that going for the gut test and doing it the first way is probably better because it's going to be a lot of education of not just the symptoms and stuff, but me for people. And I think that that's probably going to garner more success overall because I'm going to be able to attract the right type of person, but also telling my story, which I'm patient number zero, which most of us practitioners are. Um, that's where my expertise comes from, as opposed to the amount of clients that I haven't worked with just yet. um, so yeah, I think that that one probably speaks more toward me just because I don't have that client base and to be able to sell a test that's going to be of a certain caliber to be able to make that, you know, off bat before they kind of go into a program. Definitely
Okay,
going
so
in that
let's talk
direction.
about that for a second because you're making a very good point. Okay.
Mhm.
So if she does not already have trust in the marketplace, okay, every brand owner, unless you want to just go get a job for another clinic and be a health coach there, or you want to go work for Kaiser or all the places that are hiring health coaches, or if you're an MD, even, unless you're a health entrepreneur who wants to grow your own business, okay, everyone who falls into that category, Jess is a health entrepreneur. Okay. She's not interested in going to work for somebody else. As such, all of us health entrepreneurs have a responsibility to build a know, like, and trust factor. Okay. People need to know, like, and trust us in order to feel safe to buy us. The higher the price point that they have to spend with us, the higher that know, like, and trust factor had damn well better be, right? In order for us
Yeah.
to actually close it. Okay. So if she's sharing with us that she's newer and that she needs to grow this know, like, and trust factor, then she is actually going to do a far better job of coming online and just being snappy right about their symptoms. Okay. So she can come right to market talking about the things that bother them the most. Okay. Jess, what are the 3 things that bother your people the most
Oh,
for the gut health
urgency
offer?
for the gut health offer. Urgency for the bathroom is number one. I would say. Um, uh, Chronic inflammation, like, just
They don't
overall
know
gut
that. They
symptoms.
don't know that. They don't know that. They don't know that. Okay. So I'm gonna
Mhm.
stop her right there. And we're just gonna
Yeah.
use the first one, like rushing to the bathroom. Okay.
Yeah.
Because chronic inflammation is not something the vast majority of her patients are going to be able to know that they have. Now she's a medical person. So she knows the connection between symptoms in the body that indicate that there's inflammation. Your prospects might not know that. They're like inflammation. They probably think, well, is my head swollen? Are my fingers swollen? When we tell them inflammation, they might be thinking about something totally different than what we're thinking about as people who have expertise in the medical field, right? So we want to
Yeah.
talk about symptoms in the way that they would talk about them to their best friend at lunch. Okay.
Okay.
So she said they're rushing to the bathroom. Great. She could do a reel or an email or whatever platform she wants, a YouTube video, and be like, "Hey, are you afraid to go run your errands today because you don't know all the bathrooms along the way?" Right? Like that's a real time problem for people, right? Like
Yep.
if they are actually in such dire straits that their bowels are that loose, then running errands is a huge, huge downstream consequence of the challenge of having chronic diarrhea. Okay. So, what she's doing when she has a conversation that mentions their symptom and shows that she understands the downstream consequences. In that example, it's not even being able to go, run your errands unless you know where all the restrooms are, right? That means that she not only understands the symptoms, she knows what the downstream consequences are. Okay. That's going to help her kind of weasel right into their world. And they're going to get the sense that, like, oh, it's like she's talking to me. Right? It's like she was put in my stream, in my feed just for me, because that's the exact problem that I have. And the better she is at speaking to not just the clinical symptom, like the medical jargon. Notice how in the intro to her fake video, I didn't mention anything around diarrhea or loose stools or anything, any words that we would use in the medical field to talk about it. You know what I mean? I
Mm.
just talked about it in a way that that person might talk to their girlfriend or their best friend, like about that particular problem. That's what we need to do, you guys. Okay. That's what we need to do. So if she says she doesn't have a following, she doesn't have a list, the better that she can bring her personality to meet people exactly where they are, talk about their symptoms, and acknowledge the downstream consequences, the more she's going to connect. Okay. If she comes on and she starts rattling on about how awesome the lab test is and how which lab it's from and how cool it is, we care about that, you guys. We care about that. All they care about is stopping the problem that they have. They don't even honestly care about Jess. They honestly don't care who
Yeah.
she is. She could be an alien from outer space with purple skin. And if she speaks to their problem in a way that resonates with them and they feel like, oh my God, this alien is right in my brain, she knows exactly what's going on, then they will pay that alien to solve the problem. I kid you not. Okay. So, and for some of you, I hope that helps you get over the imposter syndrome. Okay. Because it doesn't matter what your hair look like, right? It doesn't matter what your background looks like. It doesn't matter what your logo looks like, right? None of
Mm.
that stuff matters. What matters is that you get down and dirty in the pit of their problems and you talk to them there where they are hurting and acknowledge their downstream consequences. And then you say, hey, let me tell you what could be going on in the body, right? And so now she gets to show off her expertise. Okay. So she had to start meeting them where they are. No jargon, no fancy language, just meet them where they are, showing that she gets it. Does she need to
Yep.
talk about a supplement graveyard of $1,000 worth of supplements that are just sitting around because and none of them did any good? That would show them that she gets them, that she knows the financial pain they're in from the problem. Anything she can do to acknowledge the symptom plus a downstream consequence, and then use that to bridge into, let me tell you what might be going in the body and what we might need to take a look at. Jess, is that something that you could do publicly in a reel, let's say in a YouTube video?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay,
very
perfect.
easily.
Okay, great. So that's a lot. lower lift for her to get someone to say, wow, she really gets me. By the time they see 2, 3, 5, 9 of her videos, they are going to literally feel, if she knows her avatar, if she doesn't know her avatar, epic fail, her marketing will fail. But if she knows her avatar and she understands their symptoms plus the downstream consequences of those symptoms, and she speaks to those, and then she connects the dots to what symptom of the body needs help, then her being able to invite them to say, hey, don't let this go on and get worse. Let's take a look and get you the data that you need to see if this is what might be going on, to see what's happening in your gut. Does that make sense, Jess? Okay. Now, all she has to articulate is the symptom plus the downstream consequence, the symptom of the body, and invite them to take a look at that. Okay. That is a much shorter and more doable conversation, especially for someone who doesn't yet feel super savvy with their marketing. Okay. Which I'm going to assume she doesn't, because she doesn't have a huge audience and she doesn't have a huge list. So I want to give her training wheels. I want to give her baby steps, right? So that she is going to have a lot easier time converting. Because if I send her out there into the world to try to convert on a $5,000 package, she's going to cry in the shower a lot. Okay. The reason she's going to cry in the shower in the lot is not because she's bad at what she would be doing. Absolutely not. Okay. She's absolutely not bad at what she's doing. What would happen is she would just be bumping up against the statistical truth of marketing, right? Which is that of all the people who see your stuff, only a tiny bit of those people actually need it. Okay. And if she didn't make a sale of that 5K offer, she's going to start feeling like, when I'm shriveling, like, well, I paid for all this medical education. I've got so much expertise under my belt. How come people aren't flocking to buy my stuff? And it's going to depress her. And then she's going to have an aversion to marketing and everything's going to tank. Sound familiar for anybody? Okay.
Yeah.
When I send her out in the market on a bike that has training wheels, okay, then I know all she really needs to do is convince someone to let her to give her access to the labs. Okay. And that is only a, what we say, $350 investment. Okay. So that's a much lower bar for her to get people to say yes. So she'll get a higher volume of yeses from putting content out that way. And that higher volume of yeses will be an upward spiral to get her more excited about marketing, because she's making the education fee. And then on the backside of that lab, okay, on the back end of that lab, she does the lab review together, and that's her opportunity to enroll them into solving the problems that are discovered on the lab by working with her for that $500 package. So in essence, she's filtered herself from talking to a bunch of looky-loos on those calls that are not going to buy from her. And she's
Yeah.
actually at least filtered for people who know they have to pay for precision or functional medicine cash out of pocket. It's not covered by insurance. Okay. We know that because they were willing to pay for the test, right? So she's filtered for that class of people. She's going to have a much higher conversion rate on the back end of those interpretations. Jess, is all this making sense to you so far? I want to pull a question on screen.
Yeah, for sure. Um, yeah, I was just looking at that, Sandy
Yeah, I
asking,
got it.
how can you explain how clients can order a GI map or blood chemistry? I'm assuming any type of test when you're not under an FDN license. And
Yeah, great
at
question.
least,
Great question.
yeah, at least for me, I'm signed up for two different companies, one being Avexia Diagnostics and the other one's Rupa Health.
Yep.
They have different test menus, but they give you the option to submit under a different license, so not yours. So it's called signing physician, right, Joy?
Yep. And it's not like you're picking who it gets under, or you have to, convince some doctor to let you write under their prescription. It's not like that at all. Okay. So what has happened in the lab space, Sandy, is there are so many direct to consumer labs. Okay. So honestly, right now, I know a site that I could go to and I could buy a GI map for myself. Right? Like, I know how to buy a GI map for myself, and that is perfectly legal. There is nothing wrong with that. Okay. Because those opportunities exist. Okay. what has happened is the labs are making it a lot easier, especially like she mentioned, Rupa and Avexia. Love the people over at Avexia. Their signing physician charge is much lower than Rupa's. Doesn't matter to me which one you use. You need to apply, Sandy, to do it. But I have a mastermind of practitioners that ranges from, people who have nutritionists, like the FDN grads kind of people, our nutritionists, our health coaches, maybe even just graduated from, IIN or something like that. So I have people who range all the way from the health coach arena or nutritionist arena, all the way up to your MD, PhDs, like super alphabet soup after their name. Okay. So that's the population that I serve. Okay. Whether or not you are licensed to order labs, I still want everybody who's using front end labs as a client acquisition tool. Okay. So this is not for people. Let's say that Jess already landed the client and that client needed something else, right? They needed an additional test. Yeah, she should go ahead and order that in her account, on her certificate. All that good stuff is totally fine. Okay. But when you are ordering labs for someone who is not in any kind of agreement with you, right? So we don't know if they're a coaching client. We don't have that agreement even. We don't know if they're an in-clinic client. We don't have that paperwork done. We don't know. Okay. So before they are a program participant, a patient, anything like that, okay, while they're just a prospect, we're going to call these people prospects. While they are just a prospect, why wouldn't you want to order your labs through a signing physician? Because you have no legal arrangement with that person. And if you're ordering labs with them, okay, then you're already positioning yourself in kind of a, I'm your care provider. And Sandy, are you really? You're not, right? Not until they agree, they have any kind of agreement, online coaching agreement, in practice, doesn't matter. But if I were you, I would not. It's just for me, you guys all have to seek out your own legal advice. I can't give you legal advice. I'm a marketing expert and health business strategist. It's out of my purview legally to do that. Okay. That said, I have been doing this for 13 years. Okay. And I have worked for big names from Dr. Sarah Gottfried, Chris Kresser, Dr. Daniel Amen, all these big people that you would know, all the way to health coaches, in the middle of Iowa who just want a ton of clients online for their specialty of getting rid of psoriasis. Right. So I have run the gamut of this. Regardless of how big or small your health business empire is, if I were in any of those positions, I personally would choose to order labs from my prospect using a signing physician. Now, what that process looks like is you go ahead and you can go to Avexia, you can go to Rupa. A lot of the labs also offer this direct, you guys. So if you don't use one of the warehousings and you order direct, you can do that. Okay. I personally think that dealing with Rupa and Avexia is a lot easier on you guys. Myself, it's just easier, less time consuming. Okay. So if you do that, what happens is you go to the lab. So let's use Avexia in this example. Okay. I can see that we have some people sharing in the chat that they have an account with Avexia. Good on you. I love the team at Avexia. Say hi to them for me. I love the team at Rupa too. But since we have some people who are sharing that they have an Avexia account, here's what Caroline would do if she didn't already. Okay. She would go there and she would sign up to order labs under a signing physician. Okay. And that makes it's very easy for you to do that. Okay. If you have a certificate saying you graduated from IIN or FDN, okay, that certification is enough to get you approved to order labs under a signing physician, okay, which probably, it might beg the question, you guys. It might beg the question, where's this one? Oh, yay. Hey, Raywin, are you on with us? Okay, so let me hide this one. Okay, sorry. So what's going to happen is once you get approved for a signing physician, okay, you're going to upload your certificate. That's pretty much the heart of your homework to actually be approved for this. Okay, so you fill out your application, you just include your certificate, you get approved to order labs through a signing physician. The only time that signing physician would ever be reaching out to someone is this some crazy catastrophic result came up on that test. Like if you were doing, I don't know, let's say it was a cancer screening or something, and it came back that they were, oh my God, this person definitely has cancer. Of course, that the signing physician is going to reach out to you and that person and be like, hey, do you have access to help? Right. But the majority of you in the health coaching space and what you're offering online, this might not apply to what you're offering in your in person clinic, but for the majority of us offering online health coaching programs, health coaching packages, that kind of thing, you're probably ordering things, like, metabolic panels and stool tests and hormone tests, the hair mineral analysis tests. These are all really common, highly profitable funnels that I see in my mastermind all day long. And the kind of results that we're seeing there don't hit that threshold of like, oh my God, the signing physician is going to jump in. Okay. But worst case scenario, now you know what the worst case scenario is that there's some deadly thing that shows up on the test, and then they're going to jump in and call you and call them and reach out to make sure that that person has access to care, that they're aware that this test result is serious and they need access to care. Okay. So that's how it works. And if you join us for lab test funnel, which you can get through the Avexia offer, you can scan the code in the upper left-hand screen here. But if you do that with us, you guys, I want you to know that both Rupa Health and Avexa Video, and we're also doing one with Get Healthy Labs, just like they all do videos that show you step by step by step by step, like how do you sign up to use physician services? How do I connect this to my lab test funnel? So if you end up doing that, I just want you to know, like, you're not going it alone. That's way too, I don't know what we call it, in the weeds, I'll say,
Yeah.
for us to cover on the call here, right? But I just want you to know it's not something that we kind of dropped the ball. Like, we actually went to each of those labs and had them shoot a video with me, where the screen is big and you can see where the mouse is clicking, and they walk you through every single step of it, so you don't have to worry about it. Okay. Jess, I'm gonna have you keep an eye on chat for me.
Yeah, for sure. We're good. I think the other question for people is like, is this possible? A couple people are in Canada to be able to do
You
that.
would have to check with your labs to see whether or not you have the option to do signing physicians kind of a setup in Canada. Because the vast majority of my people are not from Canada, I don't dig in and have the details from that. All right. I
Cool.
don't want to make you any promises in your Canadian territories that I can't fulfill on for you. Okay.
Yeah.
Let's see. This is oh, Raywin is sharing here. I'll just put this on screen for you, Raywin, so everybody can see.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah, DHA is another one. There's plenty of different places that you guys
Yeah,
can order
exactly.
labs from.
Yeah.
Avexia and Rupa are just two. And it might take a few times for you to look at different places too to see what labs are available for each one of them. Because there might be something that's like we talked about last week. If I was going to go with the hormone tests, there are so many different types of hormone tests, and you don't want somebody not to click or to purchase because the test is too expensive. So maybe leading with something that's like a little bit more on the hook, a little less expensive, but you might be able to find something if you look at so many different places where they have different test menus as well. So don't get just caught up on one. So for instance, with me, with the gut stool test, GI map is like a standard that everybody uses across the board, but I'm actually leaning toward using microbiome's Biome FX stool test just because the um, results you get with that are already very visual and easy to kind of walk through with a client. And so that I'm not sitting here trying to do a ton of interpretation on a test that I'm not even sure if somebody's going to come and do a program with me. That's how I found Microbiome Labs tests because it's available on Rupa. And for me, that's a lot easier because it can kind of lead into that first funnel or that other funnel we were talking about. I can be sending them with supplementation and making affiliate sales through Microbiome Labs. Everything's very easy. There's lots of information in there. So that was my reasoning for wanting to pick that particular lab. And I've already been looking at markers that I can use that would easily kind of go back to the content that we were talking about before. The number one concern for somebody who has something like I did, which was ulcerative colitis, and that's kind of where I would end up with most of my content, I'm sure, because that was my issue to deal with, is one, not being able to be confident about where the restroom is, either feeling like you have to go or not really sure if you want to be out. Like that's such a big thing. Aside from just like abdominal cramping, fatigue, there's a million little symptoms that come with that. But I will say that when I was dealing with it, um, on a regular basis for 20 years, that was always in the back of my mind. And it's when you don't have to deal with that, uh, it's such a different span of life, like where you can go, what you can do. So this could also play into, I'm sure, Joy, right? Like my content. Like, oh, so I had to deal with this for 20 plus years.
Yeah,
Um,
exactly.
and now I can tell you I don't have to deal with this, and, like, just that weight off my mind changes the way that I interact with life, interact with family, the things that I decide to do, the vacations that I take, like, there's so
Yes.
much you don't have to consider now, and that's such a big thing. If
Exactly,
somebody's dealing with
exactly.
that, they get it. If they're not, it's not gonna land with them, which is fine. It might just be some funny video of a girl trying to run to the restroom, but, um, yeah, speaking to that really deep sort of, it's not just what the symptom is, I think is what Joy was trying to get at before. It's what is the symptom doing to your life? And then what does that happen when that symptom is no longer a part of your life? And that's like the goal of where do people want to be with that? And that's what's going to really draw people in. Am I like hitting this on target, Joy?
Definitely, and that makes a good segue into what we want to see that people need to accomplish today. So we got a little bit
Yes.
distracted because somebody was like, okay, how am I going to order this and not have it on my
Yep.
lab? So we wanted to make sure that Sandy got her question answered. So we're good to go. I think Sandy's
Yep.
clear on that. That's what happened. You use the signing physician option.
Yep.
Almost everywhere has it. Even some of your private labs, just reach out. If you order direct, ask them. Just ask your rep, hey, I would like to use this lab as a front end client acquisition tool, which means I would rather order this through a signing position. What are my options? And then your rep will be able to articulate for you. They'll know exactly what you're talking about. And if they don't, then you should order it through one of the warehousing labs. Okay. So your Arupa or your Avexia option. Okay. So next, I want to make sure that we understand that Jess is not going to have to figure out everything that is going to go on her lab test funnel registration page. Okay. So basically, when we go to a lab test funnel registration page, we don't want that conversation. So let me pull you guys back over here to see this. Okay. Let me make this bigger so they can see. Okay, here we go. So remember how I told you she's going to have to start with symptoms based content. Okay. And then she's going to have to connect the dots to the system. And then she's going to have to invite them to see what's going on in that system of the body by actually giving them access to the test. And you guys, I should mention that this gives somewhat of a VIP feel. Okay, so they kind of feel like they're superstar behind the red rope because, especially if you articulate, why they need this test through the lens of, hey, this is a test that your typical GI doc is not using, right? So if Jess takes the time to say, hey, this is a test this is not what your conventional GP is doing. This is not what your conventional GI docs are doing. This is a completely different functional medicine take on exactly what's happening in your gut. It makes them feel like, yeah, okay, I didn't know about this. Nobody ever told me about this before. And I've already been through the hoops of conventional medicine. If she positions it right, it's going to sound very VIP access to something that they weren't able to get through their normal insurance coverage. Okay. So I just want to make sure that that's really clear. And when we do that, instead of just having to go in and figure out, okay, what should I say on this page? What should the avatar call out be? What should the, what kind of copy should I put on the page? How does this need to look? I'm going to make sure that you don't have to do that, but I kind of want you to see one. So let me just really quickly. I'm going to open one on my iPad just so you can get a sense, because I know some of you are probably thinking, yeah, let me show my iPad. Some of you are probably thinking, let me mirror this one. Can I mirror this too? Let me mirror it back. Maybe when I'm on a site. Okay, does that look good for you guys or is that backwards?
No, that's
That's
backwards. You
backwards.
had
So
it
it was
just
fine
before.
before. Okay, there we go. Okay.
There you go.
So what most of you might be thinking, I'm going to make this big, Jess, and we can still hear you, Jess, even though I just want them to see this big. Okay. So we can still hear you.
Great.
Just chat. Yeah. Oh, let me see if I can keep you on screen with me this way. Yay. Okay, good. I got it. Okay. My fancy new streaming stuff. I'm figuring it out. Okay. So what some of you might think is, okay, I put out the systems-based content. Okay. So Jess puts out her systems-based content, and then she's just going to send them directly over to, check out at Avexia. Okay. If we do that, here's a pop quiz for Jess really fast. Okay. Pop quiz for Jess. If we send them over to Avexia and you just sent them the link to the lab that you want them to get, and they put in their name and their email and their phone number, their contact details, who has that information? Who owns that information? You or Avexia?
Evexia.
Exactly. Now, for the long-term health of your business, what would you rather have? Would you rather have a big list of name, email, phone numbers, and so that you can send email marketing and text marketing and you can find these people on social media? Would you rather own that information, or would you rather that a lab owns that information?
I would rather I own it.
Exactly. Okay. Jess passes with flying colors. Okay. So now we're going to come back over here and I'm going to explain to you exactly what the page we send them to looks like. Okay. So if we send them over to get to the lab, we don't send them to Avexia where there's a very clinician forward explanation of how awesome that lab is. Okay. In other words, it's an explanation that is very appealing to you. Okay. Because you've got to remember, those lab companies, the descriptions of the labs are meant for people like you, okay, who understand what all those indicators mean, who understand what all the, science inside the lab, what's happening. They know that you guys understand that, but does the general public, who in the example we're using with Jess, that is rushing to find a restroom on their way to Target, you know what I mean? That person might not, they don't even need it. Okay. They don't even need a clinical understanding of what's happening in the lab. It's the difference between needing to know what time it is and needing to know how the watch works. Okay. The person who has to find a restroom every time they try to go run errands, okay, that person just wants to know what time it is. They need to solve the problem, and they would like to solve the problem within the next, like, shortest possible future time period that is manageable. Okay. So because we know these people more need to understand that the data will help them drive smart decisions, okay, that this is going to help us take a peek so that we can make the smart next move, okay, we need to have a page that looks like this, that kind of calls people out for who they are, right? So this is an example of a lab test funnel for someone who's killing it right now, okay? And she's doing a hair mineral analysis test, okay? But how that it comes from your hair, what all these things mean, it doesn't really matter, okay? What matters to her prospect is that they are able to unlock the full potential. So see, when they land on the page, we know that this is for dynamic people ready to unlock their full potential. I'm going to show you a hormone one too, okay? And if you look at this, if you read it, it says, discover how mineral imbalances could be holding you back from, and here's the important part, okay? All of the copy on this page was created a set of AI prompts, okay? And all this practitioner had to do was tell me the number 1, 2, and 3 problems in the right order, okay? In the first biggest problem, second biggest problem, third biggest problem. And the AI will create all the copy for this page, okay? So you can see here that for this practitioner, their clients' top 3 complaints are being overweight, having crappy digestion, and having no energy. Okay. So she's leading them with the possibility of, hey, reach your ideal weight, have healthy digestion, and how about having some energy the whole day? Okay. So she's leading them with a carrot. Okay. So if you don't ride a horse, you might not know this, but if you wanted to lead a horse back to the barn, you're way up the trail, you want to lead the horse back to the barn, you lead it with a carrot. Okay. You don't lead it by reminding it that it's a 5-mile hike back to the barn. right? So we don't lead with the problems or the work we have to do together to solve the problem. We only lead with the pot of gold at the end of the rainbow, which is the opposite of their three biggest pain points. Okay. So when you use the lab test funnel AI prompts, you will be responsible for articulating what are their three biggest pain points, what are their three biggest desires, and then it will help you create an ideal client avatar, and it will help you create all of the copy that is on this page, section by section, line by line. Okay. So she's come up with a great name for her test. Now, remember, you guys, I wish that it worked this way. Okay. I wish that we would create a landing page like this and people would automatically come flocking to it. Let me tell you, that does not happen. Okay. This page would be live for 10 years and nobody would find it. Okay. Even with great SEO, even if you think SEO is the magic bullet. Okay. What has to happen is this person, her name is Jennifer. Jennifer has to do top of funnel content and she does a great freaking job. Okay. Jennifer Nelson Hawks, go follow her on Instagram. Okay. And look at the content that she's doing that leads people to this page. Okay. So it's the content, just like the content we talked about Jess having to do about, oh my gosh, you have to know where all the restrooms are when you're going out to run errands. That kind of content is the preemptive strike that makes this page so effective. Okay. It's also the way that you get traffic here. Okay. And, there's three ways to get traffic. You guys can do it organically, you can do it paid, which is with ads, or you can do it with partners. Okay. But one way or the other, we have to bring eyeballs to this page. And the way that Jess would be bringing eyeballs to her page would be talking about having, regular daily bowel movements, like having healthy daily bowel movements, having a flat stomach again, right? And, never having fear when you go out to eat. Those might be her three biggest things, right? So she's going to lead those horses back to the barn with the carrots that make the most sense to her. Okay.
Yep.
And she's going to articulate to the AI prompt. She's going to tell that AI prompt, these are their three biggest problems. These are the three things that they want. It's going to help her crank out an ideal client avatar, first of all, and then it's going to help her think through all of the copy that should be generated for this page, starting with the header here. And you can see the header has a lot going on that has been split tested. Okay. Like where the button is, where the image is. We've split tested the heck out of this with millions of dollars of ad spend. So you don't have to figure it out. Okay. So we can see the button. We don't have to scroll. It's there on the screen. So those of you who think you're going to get tons wordy in your header and you're not going to see the call to action button, that is a mistake. Okay. Hold on one second. We have a question. I want to make sure that we get it. Jamie is asking. Oh, okay, Jamie, we'll get to that in just a second. Okay. We'll pull it on screen and we'll get to that in just a second. So Jess is essentially going to do the deep thinking to think about her avatar using the AI prompts. And then it's going to give her the copy for this part at the top in green, for the header itself, and then for this section here. Do you ever feel like your body is working against you? Right. So, are you struggling with, right, is kind of the theme here. It's going to help her come up with an are you struggling with, and it's going to help her come up with all of these bullet points. And the whole point of these bullet points, you guys, is for her audience to feel like, oh my God, she sees me. She gets me. Like finally, somebody who understands me. Okay, so in Jennifer's case, she knows that her people are dealing with stubborn weight, unpredictable digestive issues, persistent fatigue, restless nights and terrible sleep, hormonal imbalances. And she describes what that would feel like because some people don't know it's their hormones, right? Mood swings, irritability, all the things that her people complain about, including this last one, your sense that something is just off. So you can tell that Jennifer did a good job describing the pain points and the desires, and then her AI prompt spit out good copy that makes the people who read this feel like, oh my God, it's like she's been watching me at my Google camera at home, and she knows exactly what I'm suffering with. That's exactly what we have to do. Okay. And then the AI prompts will give you a second segment of copy like, hey, what if you could? And that's basically like turn it all around, right? The opposite, right? Exactly what they want. Okay. And then we're going to tell them exactly what's possible when they invest in the test, Okay, what are the takeaways? Okay, they're going to have this data, they're going to have clarity, they're going to have science behind what the symptoms they've been feeling. And then they're going to make the invitation like, hey, you can have access to this test. Can you see, you guys, that this is like the direct opposite of taking them to the clinical description of a test
Yep.
that's inside of Exia? Jess, does that make sense to you why we would take them to a page like that?
Oh, yeah. I mean, it would, it's speaking in a uh, street language, for lack of a better term. Uh, it's speaking in colloquialism that only the person who's experiencing these issues would understand. But it's also giving them hope by showing them, like, if you go to Vexia's page or to Rupa's page or whoever, and you read, this is what the test tests for, this is what it does. It's not actually telling you that it's addressing any of the symptoms necessarily. And it's also not telling you how that test is going to help you to get past these symptoms and actually start to feel better with whatever those issues that you're dealing with are. So the big missing piece is all the emotional stuff. It's all the personal stuff that's missing.
Exactly.
It's the day-to-day life stuff that's missing.
Exactly.
Um, the test is just there to help you as the client or practitioner to figure out where do we start and how do we build a roadmap together. And so,
Exactly, and
yeah,
that's what's gonna
they're,
happen on the sales call, Jess. It's like
yeah,
that piece is gonna happen on the sales call. So on, when she's offering them the test is still not her care, right? So remember, they have not yet invested in, it depends. In some practitioners example, like in this example that we just looked at on my iPad, she charges one price for the test, and so to get the test, and then people get into a mini member portal, like, which has all this helpful information that endears the clients to her while they're waiting for their test result to come back. And you guys, that's the sweet spot. Like, that's the marketing sweet spot. Okay, so if you think about it, the time between when, sorry, I'm switching the wrong one here. Okay. If you guys think about this, the time between when they order the test and they get the test result back, that's the sweet spot for you to endear yourself to that potential client. Does that make sense, Jess? So you
yeah,
have this magic window of opportunity between when the test is ordered and when it comes back. And that's when they have access to a little mini member portal that has videos from super smart you. Okay. And this is your time to grow your know, like, and trust factor like no other way you could possibly do, because they're not like consuming that content on YouTube where they could get distracted, on Instagram where they could get distracted, or Facebook or anywhere else. They're consuming that content in a little mini member portal that they get when they buy the test. Okay, so in this one, let me see if I can just kind of show you so you can get a hang of, like, you can kind of see how this goes on the inside. Let me see. Yeah, perfect. Oh, I'm not logged into this on my iPad. Let me see if I can share. No, that this won't share here. Okay, I'm going to do my best to describe it to you. Okay. You go into, once you buy the test, you get a video that says, "Hey, Jess, you're so smart for buying this hair mineral analysis test. Let's go ahead and get you right to the video that shows you how to trim your hair so that we can get the results rolling back to you faster." Okay. Now you click the link and you go into the mini member portal and you see exactly how to do it and where to cut it from and what to wash your hair with before the whole distilled water thing and all that, right? So there's a video of who doing this? Of her, of this practitioner. So in Jess's case, she would have the test and she would unbox it for them. And let's say that she was using the GI map, just because I don't know what the inside of that one looks like. She would open the box and she would say, "Look, there's some water in here. There's some preservative in here. Please don't throw it out when you go to capture a sample." Okay. So it would be Jess with her cute hair and her glasses and her fun personality. And she would be describing, she would unbox it for them. She would describe what's going to happen. She would say, "The instructions are in here, but if your stomach is hurting, you might not have time to read these. So I'm just going to walk you through it and tell you exactly how you'll be doing it." She might have some chocolate pudding there, right? To like show the example. She shows them exactly how it's done. So, and you guys might be laughing, but imagine someone who has been struggling with this for months, maybe even years, right? they're so stressed out about it that reading those teeny tiny 2-point font directions might be more than they can even think about handling. So a helpful video that just shows them step by step exactly what they're going to be doing, and then they just go in the bathroom and do it, and then you're like, okay, and then it's boxed up and you ship it off, and then you will get your results by email. In the meantime, I have some videos that I want you to watch. Okay. And let's say that her 5-week program, or your 3 months. So let's say that her 3-month program went through 3 phases, right? So she did an initial phase, or she's trying to calm their system down, maybe a detox phase, and then a re-inoculation phase. I don't know what her protocol is, but she does. Okay. Then you would say, hey, no matter what problems we solve, chances are we're going to need to calm down what we're seeing right away. And then we're going to need to detox the body based on what we found. And then we're going to need to re-inoculate so that you're set moving forward, right? So she would say, because chances are we're going to need to address those, I have a simple video on how you can calm your system now, right? And she might give them simple examples like, using a hot water bottle on their stomach, or whatever simple things that she can do to just help them start feeling a little bit loved on. Now, is she going to give away her protocol? No, she's not. She's not. But is she going to give away some baby steps, some little things that they could do? Like, hey, just to calm you down, here's something that we can do. And to start detoxing, I simply want you to make sure that you're consuming this amount of water, right? And she can give them a formula, okay? And starting to re-inoculate, we can get you on some simple digestive enzymes or probiotics, whatever she thinks is a safe first step. She said, or she might want to give them a simple dietary change, right? She might want to have them, remove a certain simple set of foods. Okay. So whatever her think of it like a little amuse bouche and a little appetizer and a little cup of soup. And it's like one little preview of what her whole protocol is going to be like. And the reason that I want her to do that in that mini member portal while they're waiting for the test results is because that's her chance to have their undivided attention on the topic of fixing their gut. Okay. That's priceless from a marketing perspective, because then when they watch, you guys, it depends how you want to do this. Some people do an interpretation video that explains every single indicator on the test so that they come to a call with you, the initial consult with you, which is also the sales call. Okay. Secret. Okay. Some people choose to go through a video that describes every single indicator on the test, so you don't get a lot of stupid questions on the call. Okay. And then on that call, her only job is to give them a clear plan. Now, that clear plan might be as straightforward as, okay, you need a practitioner who specializes in this particular problem, right? Someone preferably who's had this experience like me, because she's been through it, right? And then we're going to need to, whatever her 3 steps are. For me, it would be like, okay, we're going to need, first of all, you need to be under the care of someone who completely understands this particular challenge. And then we're going to need to solve the problems that are showing up on this test. And then we're going to need to re-inoculate your gut so your gut immunity and health and motility is really strong moving forward. Since you're on this interpretation call with me, would you like to know what it looks like to do that with me? So those are the 3 things they need to do, regardless if they do it with Jess. So she's provided value to that person, regardless of if they buy the 5K package to move forward with her or not. That's her only job on that call. Does that make sense, Jess?
Yeah.
Okay, perfect. So I want to address a couple of questions here. Okay, okay. So Jamie, you're asking, what happens if the asthma comes back okay and perhaps their symptoms are more hormone related? Again, the only thing that your job to do on that call, okay, if that was the situation in this call, what you would have is all the answers to their questions set up for me. I use Calendly. Okay. So all the intake questions from them, so you can ask all the right things. Okay. So you know exactly what's going on with them. Okay. And then you're also going to have their test results in hand, and you're going to say, hey, first of all, I don't see anybody whose minerals don't have something that needs a little bit of attention, right? But but in the event that it was perfect, they had an absolutely clean bill of health. You already have what their symptoms are. You already have what they tried. You already have a list of what this is costing them in life, right? And what they could do if those symptoms were put in the past. So you already have the benefit of all of that on the call. Okay. So you could basically say, hey, this looks to me like your minerals are not the problem here, but based on what you've shared as your symptoms, as what you've tried, as what you want to get back to, I don't know, let's say they said, get back to running around with your grandkids and traveling the world again. Then if I were you, based on my experience, this is the thing that I would look to next. So you have a sales opportunity right there on that call based on the fact that that was not the thing that needed attended to, right? Now, most of the people who would have come into the incoming funnel based on the content, when the content is done right, you're filtering for the right people who probably have that challenge. So I would say, Jamie, that almost never happens, but in case it did, that's how we would handle it. Okay. And then she's saying, she's just wondering if this would break some trust for the practitioner. I'm assuming, based on when this question came up, Jamie, that you're asking, does sending them to a page that is more like a client facing conversation is what I would call it, Jess? What would you say? It's just more
Mm.
friendly. It's more, I don't know, for
Yeah,
people
I don't
who are more
know.
medical.
Well, I guess it depends on exactly what Jamie's asking, but I don't think that you're breaking trust with a client at any point during this because you're not promising them anything. Even in that landing page, all you're promising them is that um, this might be a window into what's happening to you. And I'm going to be able
Exactly.
to help you figure that out based on this intake form, based on your lab tests and us meeting to talk about it. The interpretation slash sales call is it's just meant for you to kind of give them an insight. And as it's all in the wording, right? Like you're not making any promises, so there's no trust
Exactly.
broken. You're not
You're
saying that,
only
oh, I'm going to
just
be
the
able to cure
data.
you.
Yeah.
Yeah,
All you're promising is the data to make smart decisions about your health. Like, hey, let's stop
exactly.
wondering what's going on in your body. Thanks to functional and precision and advanced testing, like however you describe your testing, thanks to all of that, you don't have to guess anymore. Like we should be able to find out what's going on so that you can make smart decisions about your health. And then it's up to you if you want to charge, and that can be your first session. Some practitioners use that, they'll do a test explaining all the indicators on the lab, and then they'll say, hey, if you would like a private invitation with me, click the orange button below this video and you can charge for that session if you want. And that can be, okay, now I've hit the ground running and I've charged for my initial session and you're off to the races with a la carte. Or, I don't like that. I think that you guys should charge for packages. You know what I'm saying? But if you want to charge for the interpretation call as your initial consult, that's your prerogative. You can handle this however you want. Assuming, Jamie, that your concern was, are we baking trust because we're sending them to a landing page that describes the lab in plain English and an emotional kind of setting instead of a clinical medical type conversation that happens over, let's say, at the back end of Avexia when they're ordering the lab? Trust me, girl, this is the highest profitable funnel that is happening for all the practitioners that I work so hard to get to $1 million a year, which sounds like a lot, but that's 83.3K a month in revenue, right? So this is the winner that is pulling people in right now, which I attribute to two things, right? I attribute it to the fact that we're not growing an audience of like looky-loos who are just collecting freebies, because that's not really filtering to protect you guys from being on consults with people who are not serious. Okay. So I attribute it to that. And then I also do attribute it to the lower price point to get some sort of access to some direction. Just give me a light here. I'm in the dark. You know what I mean? Like, give me some kind of light that shows me exactly, what might be happening. I'm starting to feel like I'm crazy, especially in like the hormone space, you guys, or even the gut health space, right? I went through this, Jess. I don't know if your gut adventure was like this, but I had a raging case of SIBO and I didn't know it. And it was so bad. And the conventional medical world did nothing for me. So I started feeling like I was crazy. Like, is this just me? Is this all in my head? Am I nuts? And even just having a sanity saving drop of the science that can show me what's going on in my body is really soothing for many, many people.
Yeah.
Here. Oh, she's giving us a clarification. So Jamie is saying, no, I just mean if the test result comes back normal-ish, and then you recommend perhaps another test. Again, if it comes back normal-ish, your job is to show up with whatever you would normally show up with on that consult, right? So again, you have all the answers to the questions, all the intake. So you know what their symptoms are, you know what they've tried, you know what this means to them, what life looks like if they can get better. You are empowered on that call with all that and the lab results. So you would bring your expertise to the table, Jamie, especially if this was a paid consult. You would bring your expertise to the table and say, hey, based on everything you shared, I have these, qualifying questions for you that I need to know more about. And then based on my expertise, this is what I would do with my clients. Would you like to know what it looks like to move forward with me since we're on this call together? And then they can decide, do they want to move forward with you? Make sense?
Yeah.
Okay. Since we're over time a little bit, I want to make sure that Jess has time to explain to you exactly the access that you guys have. Biocanic has an awesome automated business system. I'm going to have her explain it to you. Jess, I'm going to put you full screen, and then I'm also going to put the QR code so everybody who wants access can just grab it. Okay. You're welcome,
Awesome.
Jamie.
Yeah. So with Biocanic, you can sign up with us, and we have what's called the business automation subscription, where we have a one-time setup fee that we are discounting for people here. So if you go to that QR code, it's only $99 a month after the setup fee. And you can also reach out to our team. Just put a comment and we will get back to you about any other sort of specials for people during this call. But right now we're just discounting it by half. So the initial fee is going to be $199 and then a $99 ongoing monthly fee.
And
So
that's
that's just part of,
1999, right, Jess?
yes,
Oh,
1999.
okay,
Yes.
got it.
Um, yeah, and so you'll be able to utilize not just the lab test funnel, but you can utilize the Biocanic system, and we help you with a pre-built automation workflow through Go High Level. If you follow this series after Joy and I are finished, our team is going to be going through how to set that up on Go High Level. But the lab test automation is part of that subscription. So you just click that link. If you have any questions, just go ahead and reach out to our team through the chatbot that we have on our website, or you can email me at jess@bio. But yeah, it's I don't know, Joy. I think we partnered and done a great job to kind of offer a lot of different things for people.
Yeah, exactly.
And
So if you guys don't like, lab test funnel is available standalone if you're not in the biocanic world. Okay. But if you're in the biocanic world, which I don't know why you wouldn't be, okay, because, I always want to say that, I want to say that it's practice better, to be quite honest. You know what I mean? I feel like if you don't have back-end integration with labs the way that Biocanic does, I like you're missing the boat on that. Okay. So I think that Biocanic is amazing in and of itself. But the fact that they let you guys sort of stand on their shoulders with this business automation offer, it's just amazing. Like if you're not the type of person to build your own funnels, to build your own landing pages, to have the automated emails after it, the fact that they can get you up and running on Go High Level fast and easy, and it includes like a helper, right? Jess, I can't remember exactly how many
mhm.
hours or what the deal is, but like you actually get a Go High Level. That's just the name of the system that it's hosted on. You actually get a tech helper who helps you with that stuff. So if you're the type
Yeah.
of person who's like, I just want to focus on my content and my offers and delivering and serving for people, and all of that stuff completely overwhelms me, you should take advantage of what Biocanic is offering with you, because that's one, it's a steal of a price for sure. Okay. And then you would need to pay monthly. So if you're wondering, like, why would I be paying monthly? Well, you need to pay monthly for a CRM anyways. That's like your ongoing monthly for that. Okay. So it's one hell of a deal. It's amazing. Their team is awesome. They're super supportive. I just think, and then Biocanic and Heal at Scale got connected, actually through Avexia, and Biocanic and Heal and Scale got connected, and they liked the lab test funnel process so much and saw the possibility of it being a moneymaker for you, that they were like, hey, when practitioners want our Biocanic business automation, can we make it so that lab test funnel is automatically part of that process, and we could just get them in here and get them up and running on our cool system, and they have access to your lab test funnel? And we were like, yay, chocolate, peanut butter, woohoo, that's great, right? So we made two great tastes that taste great together. Okay. if for any reason you're like, I'm set on my platform, I'm not changing. Maybe you got on Infusionsoft way back in the day. Maybe you love ClickFunnels. Maybe you're a Kartra person. It doesn't really matter to me. If you just want access to all the AI prompts and the social media templates and everything to create the copy, you totally have access to that too. You can just get Lab Test Funnel. It's a $1,500 offer that's only $495. So if you use that QR code, you're getting it for $495. That one, it's just platform agnostic. It doesn't matter. You just use it on whatever you're currently using. And, Biocanic, Heal at Scale, like we don't care how you get things up and running, you guys. We don't care how you get your business to the point of extreme profitability, because nobody deserves to be more abundant than you guys. For God's sakes, you're helping people with their health. And if they don't have their health, they don't have anything. Okay. So in my mind, you guys deserve more abundance than anybody else. Okay. So given that that is the truth, get it. Like if you want to be in Biocanic and on Go High Level, that offer is like unbelievable. I can't believe that they offer it for that price. I think you guys would be silly not to get that handled. If you're like, Joy, I'm already set up, I already have everything done, I'm already on a platform I like, just get yourself Lab Test Funnel and start running. But what we don't want you to do either way is sit on this. Okay. Do not sit on this and just be like a shelf helper. Okay. All that we're doing, all Jess giving her time, me giving my time. This is all for you. Like this is for free, right? Nobody's paying to be here, right? If you sit on this information and don't take advantage and don't get people in your world through the door of testing and then upsell them into your packages, then all of this is for naught. What we want for you is to have a thriving, abundant practice that lets you live the kind of life that you are oh so worthy of. And that is really hard to do without automations built in. Okay. So we are either on an automated platform that you already love, or you're going to take Biocanic up on their offer. We don't care. We want you to win. Okay. So
Yeah.
if you have questions for us, please reach out to us. You can reach me over on Instagram. That's a great way to just get questions answered about this process, about working with us, about turning your favorite protocols into online programs. You can just reach out to me. And if you have specific questions that you need to reach Biocanic for, Jess, what's the best way for them to reach you? Through biocanic.com or through Instagram?
Either. If you go to Instagram, it's at Biocanic, Biocanic. Or if you go to biocanic.com, we do have a chat bot and you can click to set up a demo. It's probably the easiest way to get right in contact with us through either channel.
Yeah, perfect. And if you guys are like, I feel so stumped about this, but I know I have to take action about about this and get my business working in a way that fulfills me because I'm helping a ton of people, but also is extremely financially rewarding, then book a game plan session with our team. Okay. You will literally be talking to the guy who took Amy Myers from frustrated clinic life and knowing she should be a mom to a multi-million-dollar a year online practice backed with supplements and testing and all that good stuff. Okay. So if you need to talk to the pros who have done that for big names all the way down to independent health coaches who just graduated, that's your chance to talk to us. And if when you talk to us, we know that you need Biocanic, we are going to be shoving that down your throat, because if we know that that's what you need, we will be honest with you and tell you what we need. What we don't do is sugarcoat anything. Okay. I just can tell you, Raywin was on here earlier. She can tell you, if you're expecting me to sugarcoat anything for you, that's not going to happen. Okay. So just make sure that you come prepared to say, hey, this is exactly what's going on in my business. This is a problem I'm trying to solve. And together we will find a way for you to solve it. Okay. Quick reminders before we close out here. First, I want to, let me get this one off the screen. I want to let you know that a week from now, right? So a week from this Tuesday. So what is that? The 15th, April 15th, same time, 4 p.m. Jess is going to be back here again. Jess, I'm going to trust that you use the AI prompts to go through all the first round of your registration page for the lab test. Okay. Because what I would like to do is refine that copy with you. Okay. And I know Raywin's been through this before. There's been tons of people who've been through this before who are with us. That is the fun part, okay? Because I consider what the practitioner brings to me to put on that registration page like, okay, well, we're here with all the ingredients and we're probably 80-90% of the way there. And then I want to work together to polish it and refine it and make it even more likely that her offer validation posts and emails are going to get interest for her, and that her registration page is going to convert those people so they get the lab and they get into her world, where obviously she'll have the skills to upsell them into her program or package. All right. So same bat time next week, 4 p.m. And we'll give you guys the link and we'll post it on Instagram too. But we just want to let you know that we'll see you next week at the same time. Jess, thank you so much for
Thank
being
you.
here with us. All right.
Thanks,
Bye, everybody.
everybody.